Hey everyone, what's up? And welcome to another Patreon stream. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use BandLab's sampler for finger drumming. So I've spoken about BandLab a bit before. It's a completely free to use app or browser-based DAW, so you can go to the website and use the DAW and all of the features. They have loads of sample packs. They have mastering tools. They've got a looper now. They've got all sorts of different stuff. It's all completely free. All you have to do is make an account, and you have access to all these amazing tools and DAWs and everything. It's also available as an app which you can get on like your tablet or your smartphone. I'm not 100% sure if it's available on Android, but definitely for iPhones and iPads. That's what I use. It's in the App Store. It's all free. So you might have seen in my latest video that I posted up on socials that I'm creating a finger drumming routine that I'm playing on my iPad. So I've got an iPad Mini 6, and then I've also got the BandLab app, and I was using that to create a finger drumming routine. So in this sampler, we're going to have a look at it in a second. You can record sounds straight into it using your iPad microphone or your iPhone microphone. And you can also import samples into that. So whether that's samples that you've got off something like Splice or whatever, you can also import samples straight from the BandLab sound packs that they've got on there itself. So in my video, I was using my own sample packs, which are on BandLab. So that's the Pensive Moments Volume 1 and 2. They're all completely free to use. I'm going to drop all the links and everything in the description as always. And we're going to have a little walkthrough on how you can set up the sampler for finger drumming. I'm not actually going to be doing too much finger drumming today, as you can see I've got a fresh tattoo. It's still a little bit sore. So we're going to be doing a walkthrough on how to set everything up, but I'm not going to be doing too much heavy lifting with the fingers today. So let's switch over the camera and we can have a look. So you can see here I've got my iPad set up, and what we're going to do is we're going to open up the BandLab app. So that's this one here. Like I said, it's completely free. All you have to do is create an account and it's all free to use. So to open up the sampler, what we're going to do is we're going to hit the plus icon here. Now there's a whole bunch of different options here, and a whole bunch of different tools. So this is like where you can access that metronome app that I was using on one of my other videos. And then to open up the actual DAW itself, what we're going to do is click Open Studio. So this is pretty much a full DAW. Like you can create entire tracks on here. You can have, there's a whole bunch of VSTs available. And what we're going to be using today is the sampler. So this is what I used to create that finger drumming routine. So once we click on the sampler, Bluetooth delay warning. So that's actually because of how I have the sound routed from my iPad to my mixer is using Bluetooth. So there is going to be a little bit of latency, but that's fine for today because, like I said, I'm not going to be doing any actual finger drumming. We're going to just be setting up pads. So do keep that in mind. If you're planning to use something like Bluetooth headphones, you are going to encounter latency issues because there is a delay when it comes to Bluetooth. So the best thing to do is to either have straight wired headphones or to just use the iPad or iPhone speakers themselves. I'm not able to hardwire my setup today as the new iPads have got a USB-C connection, and the only dongle I have is a lightning to mini jack, and that's not you can't use that on the new iPads anymore. So I'm having to use Bluetooth today, but that's fine. Like I said, we're not going to be doing finger drumming today. I'm just going to be showing you how to set it up. So you'll see here it says tap and hold a pad to start recording. So this is basically where you can record in sounds yourself, right? So say, for example, on this pad here, that's where I want to record a kick. What I can do is like hit the table, for example. I'll show you how you can do this, right? Is we can press that and you see it's recorded the sample here. Maybe I'll try just turning my screen brightness down a little bit so it can appear a little bit better for you guys. So you can see it's recorded that sample and we can actually go in and edit that. So if I want to edit that, we're going to just click on this little icon here to edit. And then here we've got the sample itself. So I can use these start and end points to, you know, really get in there and select the sample. We also have a few different options here like normalize. So if the sample records very quiet, we can hit normalize and it's going to maximize the gain of that sample. We can crop it. So I can actually hit crop and it's going to now crop into the selection that I made. You also have the option for reverse. We can do attack and release. We also have the options here for how we trigger the sample, right? So if you think about gate means that when I actually press and hold the pad, it's going to make the sound. If I release it, it's not going to play anymore. So this is kind of like our ADSR option, which we have inside Machine. One shot, as you know, one shot mode lets you hit the sample and it's just going to play it all the way through unless you have a choke group or you cut it off or you re-trigger it. And then we can also loop it. So I'm going to keep all this stuff into one shot mode. We can also preview the sound. Okay, and then you want to click done and then that's done. We've got a couple more options here. So the first one is volume. Second one is panning. And the third one is pitch. So for volume, that's going to be how loud or quiet the sample is. And for pitch, for example, for that kick sound, so if I want to make it a bit more kind of deeper, darker, I can pitch it down, which is pretty cool. If you want to undo anything, you can just press this little arrow here. So this is your undo and redo buttons just here. And say if you want to just delete that sample altogether, you can just hit delete and it's gone. So you'll see here, we also have the option to import audio or video, or we can browse. So importing audio will let you import any audio files or samples that you have on your iPhone or your iPad itself. So say if you've got Splice, for example, you can download your samples from Splice onto your device and then you can import them straight into BandLab here. Alternatively, you can use the browse function and these are all the sound packs available to you from BandLab. So I think my sample pack is on here somewhere. So let's just have a scroll through. There's tons and tons of different samples available on BandLab. Loads of artist packs as well as different genres and stuff. So there's plenty of stuff to choose from here. So you can see that's gnarly.music volume 1 and 2. So these are my sample packs that I created for BandLab. And in here, you're going to find a whole bunch of different sounds. So the one that I used for the video that I made was Different Now. And I used the stack, which is something like this. Okay, and all you have to do is click it to download it. And then you can import it like that. So we have the sample here. So that's actually not the pad that I wanted to go on. So I'm just going to delete that. And we're going to start again. We're going to get a kick, snare, hat, and open hat, and a crash. So we're going to set up our usual drum layout, right? So I'm going to go back to browse. And what I'm going to do is go into volume 2 because that's where most of the drum sounds are. We're going to go to drum. We want to go to kick. And then we're just going to import kick. So now we've got a kick here. Okay, now we're going to go to the next one. Same again, I just want to get a snare. And then I'm going to get some hats. And we want to get an open hat for this one. So you notice at the moment, right, because I haven't changed these to one-shot mode, they only play when I'm holding them. So we're going to change that in a second. I just want to get a crash in here as well, and then we're done with the drums for now. Maybe we'll get a rim shot as well. Okay, so I'll get a rim shot onto here. And once we've done that, we'll import the sample. Okay, so just here I'm going to import that different now sample. So that was in volume 1, and that's this one, the stack. I haven't quite figured out how to copy and paste this onto the different pads. So what I'm going to do actually is, before I move on, I'm just going to import that sample again onto all 4 of these pads. So we're just going to get that same one, and then we're going to chop it up in a minute. All right, so those are imported now. And these are all the samples that I'm going to use for this session. Now, first of all, we want to just make sure that we can edit all these samples to one-shot mode. So like I was saying, if you want to exit that editor, you just click that tick. So this is the main screen. So to get into that edit mode, we just want to click the pencil icon, and then we're going to click edit. So first of all, I'm just going to normalize all these drum samples, because as you can see, the gain is quite low on them. So I'm going to hit normalize. You'll see the waveform has maxed out. And then I'm going to change these all to one-shot mode as well. I'm going to go through all of the drum sounds and just do that quickly. So normalize, one-shot mode. I think the sample at the moment is loud enough, so we're not going to bother doing that for these. But now we have our drum sounds. So you notice there's a little bit of latency, and that is because I'm in Bluetooth mode, so don't worry about that too much. As long as you have it hardwired or you're coming out the main speakers, you'll be fine. And what we want to do is we want to set our choke groups, right? So this is the most important thing for finger drumming, is to be able to set our choke groups. So we can do that here in this edit function. So you see I'm on the hats at the moment. So I'm on that pad 3. And here where it says group, we're going to click on this, and this is where we can actually set our choke groups. So we want to scroll through here, and we're going to just select one. Okay, and then we're going to do that for all of the hats. So now these are all going to be in their own choke group. All right, so there you go. So we can also do that for the samples here. And I'm just going to set them into a choke group before I change them to one-shot mode. Otherwise, there is going to be a real mess of sounds. This one we want to put into choke group 2, right? We don't want it to be in the same choke group as the hat. So we're going to put that into choke group 2. Like I said, I haven't quite figured out how to duplicate these. So if you do know, please leave me a comment or drop me a message letting me know how to do it. And so I'm just going to set these all into choke group 2, and then we're going to go back into the sampler and edit them. So choke group 2. Alright, so these are all in a choke group. What we do need to do now is just edit the sample and to change those to one-shot mode. So at the moment, this is the whole sample playing, and I'm just going to bring in that endpoint. So it's not going to be the whole sample playing, just that first bit. And what I'm going to do is click done. You see now when I press it, okay, I might actually just shorten it a bit more. So just remember, you can play here to audition what you've got, and then click done. You can crop it, so that's going to truncate the sample. I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. And again, we've got these controls down here. So say if I want to pitch down that sample, I'm going to use this to pitch it down. I'm going to pitch that down 3 semitones. Okay. Okay, and we're going to go through these and edit them as well. So I'm going to go to edit. We're going to change that to one-shot mode. I'm going to change where this sample starts. So you notice you can hear that clicking. Because I can't really zoom into this anymore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of a tack on there. And that means there's going to be like a little bit of a fade in to the samples, so you won't hear that clicking anymore. Alright, so, and I need to pitch this one down 3 semitones as well. So I know it's super fine tuning on this. I wouldn't worry too much if your decimal points out, as they'll still kind of sound in the same key. And I'm just going to adjust the pitch on these two as well before moving on. So they're all around about -3. I'm going to go back into the editor for this one and just select the next point. And just again, I'm going to put a little bit of attack on there. We're going to change that to one-shot mode and click done. So I've got those 3, and then for this last one, we're going to go into the editor. I'm going to grab this bit, and then one-shot mode again. And what I'm actually going to do with this one is I'm going to reverse the sample, so it should give... So just remember, we want to get rid of that clicking, so we're just going to put a little attack on it. There we go. So those are my sample chops. And now what I'm going to do is also going to just pitch these drums a little bit so they sound a little bit more in key. And we're also going to go through and edit the volume. Oops, that was the wrong one. So just remember what I said, you can undo here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna edit the volume levels of everything. So I'm gonna maybe bring that snare down a bit. Too much. I'm also gonna pan it a bit to the right. And then the hats I'm gonna pan a bit to the left, and they're gonna come right down in volume. Okay, and then you'll notice now if I try to play them, so if I try to, I can't actually trigger two at the same time. That's because we're still in that editing mode, so we need to just make sure we click this tick here, so we come out of editing mode, and then I can start finger drumming normally. So like I said, there's a bit of latency, so I can't actually finger drum on this properly because it's like, you know, like 2 milliseconds late, so I can't actually hear what I'm doing. But that's how you set up everything for finger drumming, right? So I've imported the samples. We've gone into the sampler editor using the pencil button. I've got my volume, panning, and pitch controls here. In the edit mode, we can actually do the sample chopping. We can set our choke groups. We can normalize the sample, crop the sample, reverse it. Attack is adding a little bit of fade into the beginning because attack is when the sample starts playing, right? So if I put a little bit of attack on it, it means it starts a little bit later. So if we've got that little clicking sound, it's going to fade in after that clicking sound. We've got our modes here. So gate, which is ADSR mode. One shot, which lets the sample play through, loop, and then those are all of our basic functions. You can also add effects, but these do add effects over the whole project. So BandLab will let you create your own effect rack where you can add all different kinds of effects. There's also preset made ones here, so there's plenty to choose from. Just really go in and have a look at what kind of sound you want to go for. And then to go back into the sampler, we're here. And a couple of things to note in terms of the actual recording itself. So in the settings up here, you just want to make sure before you start recording anything that you turn off snap to grid, because that's going to automatically quantize what you're playing. And we don't want that with finger drumming, right? We want to have that nice free flow. Unless you are looking to have everything quantized, then you can leave that on, but I would recommend turning it off. We can also set our tempo here. So that's going to be the project tempo. We've got time signature, how loud the metronome is going to be if you want to have that on. And then the other things you want to turn off is here, quantized MIDI recording. So I always have that turned off. That way, anything that I play in is not going to be automatically quantized. And those are kind of the main things you want to pay attention to. To go back into that sampler, we just want to click on there, and then we're back to this main page. Okay, there's a couple of things to note as well, is that when you start recording, it's actually going to record into this view, so you'll see all of your MIDI notes lined up here. And in this view, you can add multiple tracks. So say, for example, on that track 1, that's where I've got my sampler. You could just record drums here, and then you can add another track. So we could add another track here. I can also rename it, and we can, add different instruments and stuff here. And to go back into that, we're just going to click, sorry, not that one. We're going to click here, and we go back to that. So these little buttons will give you different views. And just to get back here, you just click back on the buttons or the X Okay. And that's kind of mainly what you need to know. To actually record anything straight into BandLab, you want to just hit that record button and it's going to record it onto the timeline, right? So I'll just play something like random. So like I was saying, there's latency. I cannot hear what I'm doing at all. But I've just recorded that in, and you'll see here, these are the MIDI notes that I've just recorded in. You can also go through and move them, change them, add extra ones by just clicking on it. And you can also change the overall volume level and the panning of the track itself. It is super easy to use this. Once you've recorded this in, what you want to do is save the project, and then you can actually access this on the browsers. So say you start creating this on the iPad, and then you want to have it imported into your main DAW that you have on your computer. What you can do is you save this on as a project on BandLab, and then you can go onto the BandLab website on your computer. You can access this project, and then you can actually download all the files that you've recorded on there. As audio files, you can download an overall mix, you can download all the stems if you prefer, and then you can import those into Ableton or Logic or whatever DAW you're using. So it's super versatile, and there's a lot of stuff you can do. The other thing that is amazing about BandLab is it does have a collaboration feature. So say if you're working on this with someone else, and they could live on the other side of the world, all you have to do is send them the link to the project session on BandLab, and they can sign in. They can actually make changes and add stuff straight onto the DAW within BandLab. So it's super, super useful if you want to use the collaboration feature, if you want to just share files with yourself very easily between devices. So that's how to use BandLab Sampler to create a finger drumming routine. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please do drop them in the comments. To exit out of this, by the way, you just click this button. So that's the little exit icon. And here's where you can save the project, and it's going to save it there. And to access all your projects, it's just going to be here, right? So that's the untitled one that I just saved there. And you can see it's syncing at the moment, and that means it's synced across all of my BandLab devices and accounts. So I can go onto my phone, I can go into the BandLab app, and then if I want to access my folder, I'm just going to click on that icon, and you see I go to my projects, and then untitled is the one that I just created. We can open up the mix editor, and there is the track. So that's the track that I just created. I can click on there and it's going to bring up that. So now that's that thing that I just created on here. I can access it on my phone. I can access it on my computer as well. And you might have seen here, it's got the copy link. So if you want to copy that link, you can actually send that to anyone that you want to collaborate with, which is, pretty crazy. I am super impressed with the technology. I hope that was helpful. I hope that gave you an insight into how to use BandLab Sampler for finger drumming. If you do have any questions, like I said, drop them in the comments, send me a DM. And I hope you do try out BandLab. It's a super powerful tool that you can use. It's free for anybody. If you've got kids that you want to keep occupied, maybe you want to let them have a little play around with some kind of music production stuff, get them started in stuff. BandLab is super easy to use, super accessible, and it's free. So I highly recommend trying it out. Even if you do have a machine or MPC or any other kind of device, it's still very useful if you want to travel away, you don't want to take your device with you. or you just want to make stuff on the go. You can also publicly post your stuff on BandLab's. There's a huge BandLab community, a lot of different artists constantly looking for beats on there. And you can share it publicly on BandLab, and people can come across it and collaborate with you on that. So yeah, super useful tool for getting out there. Yeah, I think that's it from me today. Like I said, do send me any questions through in the comments or the DMs. I'll link all the links to BandLab in the description, and I will see you at the next one. Happy practicing.